Why, there's no one here on VBM either. Am I still out of touch? No. It's the children who are wrong. Canned food often gets a bad rap. Typically thought as low quality, unhealthy, not classy enough. But it's the 21st century, and not only are they convenient, they're often quite delicious. We live in a fast-paced, high-tech, short attention span society with all of our TikToks and our Snappies. Ain't nobody got the time to go through the digging, cleaning, steaming, and shucking. Why do that when you can crack open a can of Petite Pal Lourdes whole baby clams for a nice bowl of chowder?
Chowder! Chowder! It's chowder! Say it right!
Now, of course, you got your hands on some fresh clams. You can go right ahead and do it the right way. Most of the time, these cans would do just fine. Don't be an elitist. Don't be a gatekeeper. This is a no gatekeeping zone. So anyways, we want to start off with some russet potatoes. You have to use russet potatoes. I'm just kidding. These aren't even russet potatoes. These are like, I only have white potatoes and I'm going to use them. Ideally, russets work best since they're starchier and they hold together, but they're only potatoes. So I got about 1.5 pounds of potatoes here, which we're going to chop and cut up into about 1/2-inch squares. Now, if you want to peel them, you can. If you want to keep the skin on, you can. But at least make sure they're washed. I'll get this into a bowl of some sort. Just going to soak these, set them aside. Next, we're going to get 2 stalks of celery. We're going to dice them up real good. A nice way of doing this, cut them long, get them a little bit more manageable. And if you want them not to be super chunky and really fine, this is the secret tool. Forgot what it's called, but it's made to cut strips for green onions. But this also does the same thing, which will just... This gets them even finer. Then taking your knife, chop them real fine. Look at that. Super finely diced, all with the help of a little tool. Then we're going to put this aside. Next, we're going to need to dice 2 onions. Oh. Hi.
Zoe's hiding. Hello.
And who might you be?
Your big brother's child.
This is my big brother's child. And who might you be?
Your sister.
Welcome to the show. Would you like to chop some onions for me?
No.
Kids, they're so silly. And once that's done, put them away to the side. Then about 1/2 pound of bacon, which coincidentally is half of this. Then we're going to cut these into, how about the little squares? Square seems to be a good shape. Stack them up. Try this. Yeah. Something like that. Then we'll put that to the side. And then of course we got our cans of clams. All we need to do, open up our cans, drain out our clams. Misconception of canned goods is that they're not fresh, but quite often as soon as these are caught and processed, they're canned right away, and the canning process keeps them more shelf stable and decently fresh. These are cooked. Pretty good actually. Much simpler than needing to process your own clams. Sometimes things are just more convenient and it pays off. So that's 4 cans here, drained. Keep all this clam water. This is where majority of our flavor is coming from. These are 185 gram cans, the 6.5 ounce cans. And then we're also gonna have ready about 1 cup of clam juice as well. So from here, I'm gonna bring everything over to the stovetop. So considering we're making
Chowder.
we're gonna need a decent sized pot. I like this enameled cast iron one. We're just gonna add a splash of olive oil. Then we'll add our bacon. We're gonna be keeping our heat around medium-low. We wanna render out our fat as slowly as we can while slowly cooking our bacon. All right, so just as our bacon starts to brown and crisp up, got a lot of this wonderful bacon fat. Just off our heat for a second. We're gonna strain this fat. Don't worry, we will use it. Use something to catch it with. And I'm left off with just about half a cup of bacon grease. And if you want optimal presentation, save a few bacon bits. They'll come in handy later. So back on the stove, we're gonna steal about a tablespoon or so of our bacon grease. Get our pot to a medium. At this point, we are going to add our onions. Then our celery. Gonna cook this through until our onions are translucent and our celery has softened. Once we're about halfway through our onions and celery cooking down, make yourself a little well, add a little bit more grease. Then we're gonna crush 2 cloves of garlic right into that spot. And then half a teaspoon of dry thyme leaves. We'll mix that all in and keep it going. Ooh, that smells nice. And once our onions are cooked through, our celery is cooked through, we can start adding some of our liquids. So first we're gonna need a cup of clam juice. What is clam juice? It's just the juices of a clam. Sure tastes like it. Then the clam juice from our canned clams. Then we're gonna add a cup of water. You could also use chicken stock, but let me suggest to you using half a teaspoon of hondashi. Trust me. But if you don't, that's okay too. And I want to crank the heat up and bring this to a boil. And once everything gets to boiling, we're gonna add our potatoes. And while we get our potatoes to cook through, we are gonna need to make a Béchamel, which is like a simple roux with milk. That's how we get the signature creamy chowder.
It's chowder. Say it right.
See, it's French and shit. So, we're gonna need a pot of some sort. Over on medium heat, we need to see how much of our grease we have left. Currently, we have about a little over a quarter cup of our bacon grease. Ideally, we want to end up with half a cup of grease, oil, butter, doesn't matter. Since we have quarter cup of our bacon grease, we're gonna need a quarter cup of butter to make up that difference. Hopefully that makes sense. So we have a quarter cup of our bacon grease, then a quarter cup of our butter, which makes up half a cup between our butter and bacon grease. Now the potatoes are boiling, we're gonna bring this to a simmer. And once our butter melts, clarified a little bit, see it's starting to separate, we're gonna add half a cup of all-purpose flour. This is our basic roux, equal parts fat, equal parts flour, make for a great thickener. And we're gonna cook this through until that raw flour smell is gone. And of course, if you want it a little bit thicker, you could always add a little bit more flour, thinner, less flour, pretty self-explanatory. And once our flour is cooked through for our roux, we are going to add 2 cups of milk to make this a Béchamel. Keep that going to stir and incorporate our roux to our milk to make our milk sauce. That sounds weird. Put our milk sauce with our clam juice. This is a weird dish, isn't it? Now once our Béchamel gets all incorporated, you can see how thick this has become. We can add it back to our main pot. We'll stir that in and incorporate everything. I'm trying to keep this at a nice simmer. Alright, so let's check on some of our potatoes. Nice thick piece, 200. So at this point, we're gonna add the clams from the cans. And the reason why we wait to do this at the end is that these clams are already cooked. So if we had these clams in here simmering all day long, they'd get overcooked, quite mushy, and we'll lose our clam flavor. But this way, retains the clammy goodness. Basically, this is gonna heat up our cooked clams. We're gonna drop this in, mix this around, all nice and mixed. We're gonna let this simmer for another 5 minutes. So it's been about 5 minutes now, into our final steps. We're gonna add about a quarter teaspoon of ground black pepper. Then we gotta add some salt. Gonna start off with half a teaspoon of kosher salt. We'll see where we go from here. Maybe another half teaspoon of kosher salt. There are a lot of potatoes in this, which does suck up a lot of the salt flavor. That's nice. So about a teaspoon of kosher salt for all this. But again, your taste may vary. Always salt slowly, taste slowly. You get your desired results. So let's see. To plate this, let's get everything that nice and hearty. Remember those bacon bits we saved from earlier? Yeah, that'll make for a nice thumbnail. And then top that with some chopped green onions. So we got a nice bowl of clam chowder.
It's chowder.
How's this taste all together? Get some potatoes, get some clams. Ooh, this is hot. Ooh, yeah. Man, this slaps. Nice and hearty, nice and clammy. Oh man, I'm pretty impressed. I mean, you know this really needs though? I wish I had some bread. I wish I had some bread. Yeah?
I made some bread for you.
For me, this is unexpected. This wasn't part of the script. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You can go now. Look at that, my niece made me bread. That is a good combo. That's nice. So there it is. Simple way to turn a few cans of clams into a nice hearty
Chowder.
Now, if you're not into clams and you want to try something different, and you want to explore and try, say, shrimp, scallop, salmon, or a combination even, go right ahead. Don't let me tell you what to do.
Come back here. I'm not through demeaning you.